I used to think pulling the trigger would be the hardest thing I'd ever do. It wasn't. The hardest thing I've ever done was stay silent when I should have spoken. I was 34 on my third deployment, an infantry staff sergeant in a dry, forgotten valley that most people back home couldn't pronounce. By then, I'd already convinced myself I understood war. I knew the rhythms of patrol. I knew the weight of my gear like it was part of my body. I knew how to read a rooftop, a window, a patch of disturbed dirt. What I didn't understand was pride. We were stationed in a small combat outpost surrounded by mud brick compounds and farmland that looked peaceful from a distance. In the early mornings, before the heat rolled in, the air felt almost gentle. You could hear goats in the distance, kids laughing somewhere beyond the walls. For a few minutes, it was easy to forget where you were, but peace in a place like that is usually just a pause. We had a new lieutenant join us halfway through the rotation, fresh out of training, sharp uniform, clean boots, the kind of guy who still believed the manuals covered everything. He wasn't a bad man, he was just untested. The first week, he asked a lot of questions. The second week, he started giving a lot of orders. I remember one particular morning. The sun wasn't fully up yet. We were preparing for a foot patrol through a village that had gone quiet the night before. Too quiet. Our interpreter mentioned that several families had left abruptly. That was never a good sign. I told the lieutenant we should delay. Send a small recon element first. Maybe adjust the route. Something felt off. I couldn't explain it in a neat, tactical sentence. It was just a feeling you get after enough time outside the wire. The way dogs don't bark. The way doors stay closed. He listened, nodded. Then he said we'd stick to the original plan, and I let it go. Not because I agreed, because I didn't want to challenge him in front of the men, because I didn't want to be that senior NCO who undermines a young officer, because my ego told me it wasn't my place to push harder. So we stepped off. The village road was narrow, lined with low walls and irrigation ditches. The ground was dry and cracked. Every footstep kicked up fine dust that clung to your boots. I remember adjusting the slings on my rifle, scanning left to right, forcing myself to breathe slow. Halfway through the patrol, it happened. The explosion wasn't loud at first. It was a deep thud that you feel in your chest before your ears catch up. The ground jumped. Then everything fractured into noise, screaming, gunfire. Radio chatter layered over panic. The IED had been buried exactly where I would have sent a smaller recon team, right in the choke point. 2 of my guys went down immediately. One of them was Ramirez, 22 years old, always talking about his daughter back in Texas. He carried her photo in the front pocket of his vest, showed it to anyone who'd look. I ran toward the smoke before I even registered I was moving. Training takes over in moments like that. You don't think about fear. You don't think about consequences. You just act. Ramirez was on his back, eyes open but unfocused. His legs... I won't go into detail. There are some images that don't need to be described to be understood. I grabbed his hand while the medic worked. I kept telling him to stay with us, telling him he was going home, telling him his little girl was waiting. He tried to speak. I leaned closer. He said, "Did we miss something?" Not, "Am I going to die?" Not, "Tell my family I love them." Just, "Did we miss something?" That question has echoed in my head for years. Did we miss something? We got him on the bird. We secured the area. We finished the patrol because that's what you do. You compartmentalize, you swallow it, you keep moving. Ramirez didn't make it. Back at the outpost that night, the lieutenant sat alone outside the command tent. His hands were shaking. He looked 10 years older than he had that morning. He said, "I should have listened." I nodded, but I didn't tell him the truth. The truth was that I should have insisted. I should have said, "Sir, with respect, we are not stepping off like this." I should have been willing to create friction. Instead, I chose harmony over honesty. That's the part no one romanticizes about leadership. It's not just about courage under fire. It's about courage before the fire. In the weeks that followed, I replayed that morning over and over. The smell of dust, the silence of the village, the way my instinct tried to warn me. I realized something uncomfortable. Fear doesn't always look like running away. Sometimes fear looks like staying quiet. I told myself I was respecting the chain of command. I told myself I was being professional. But beneath that, I was afraid of conflict, afraid of being seen as difficult, afraid of stepping outside the invisible line. War strips away a lot of illusions. It shows you who you are when comfort is gone. And what I saw in myself wasn't weakness in combat. It was weakness in conviction. After that deployment, I changed the way I led. Not aggressively, not recklessly, but firmly. If something felt wrong, I said it calmly, clearly, even if it made the room uncomfortable, especially if it made the room uncomfortable. Because I learned that the cost of silence is often paid by someone else, and that's a debt I never want to owe again. Years later, back home, I've seen the same pattern outside the military, in businesses, in families, in friendships. People swallow their concerns to keep the peace. They ignore their instincts to avoid tension. They convince themselves it's maturity. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just fear dressed up as professionalism. I think about Ramirez whenever I feel that hesitation in my chest, that moment before speaking up, that internal voice saying, "Just let it go." I don't let it go anymore. Not every disagreement is a life or death situation. I know that. But the principle is the same. Leadership isn't about rank. It's about responsibility. And responsibility means saying the hard thing when it needs to be said. I still carry his daughter's photo in my mind. I never met her, but I remember the way his face lit up when he talked about her first steps, her laugh, the pink shoes she refused to take off. He trusted us. He trusted me. So when people ask me what the military taught me, I don't talk about weapons or tactics. I talk about accountability, about the weight of decisions, about how silence can be louder than any explosion. I used to think bravery was charging forward under fire. Now I know sometimes it's as simple as speaking one uncomfortable sentence before anyone fires a shot. And if there's something you've been holding back, something you know needs to be said, don't wait for the explosion, because once it happens, all you'll hear is that question in your head: did we miss something?